Trailbreaker is a character who has been on the short end of the stick for quite some time, summarily ignored for the better part of 30 years with a complete disappearance from toy shelves, albeit with his influence found in both Alternators and Cybertron. He was one of the last members of the original art crew to even be acknowledged in Chug, and at that point he wasn't even allowed his own name. Yeesh. And even now, when he's got his identity back, he's getting Hoist's sloppy seconds. For shame. Welcome to Kit Reviews. My name is Kit, and today we'll be taking a look at Transformers Earthrise Deluxe Class Trailbreaker. This figure was released in 2020 as part of Wave 3 of the Deluxe assortment, and is a redeco and retool of Transformers Earthrise Deluxe Class Hoist. This rugged, rowdy roughhouser transforms into the most boxy fucking truck I've ever seen, and I love it. Now, I'm sure you're probably heavily intoxicated at this point from the official Kit Katastrophe drinking game, but you all know how much I love the boxy aesthetics of cars from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and this applies doubly for trucks and SUVs. It reminds me of the old Ford F-150 my parents had when I was really little, canopy and all. Except Trailbreaker is black instead of red, and also Toyota. Well, he's not so much black as he is a dark shade of brown that, much like the yellow paint on Sunstreakers, stands out way too fucking out on camera and under these lights. Earthrise Trailbreaker kinda reminds me of movie Ironhide, or rather the opposite, with their similarly tough alternate modes and black coloration. Ironhide could have easily been called Trailbreaker, or Trail Cutter at the time I suppose, and not much would have changed. Still, Ironhide would never have sported these snazzy warm stripes on the flanks and the canopy, which are kind of iconic for this kind of vehicle, especially one from this era. Also worth notice is that yes, he is four-wheel drive, meaning that if you're a Trail, consider yourself broken. Like Hoist, Trailbreaker's grille is an alarmingly bright silver, though the headlights are simple unpainted clear plastic. They really could have used some silver paint on the opposite side to make them pop, but I suppose that's what Toy Hacks is for. The windshield is similarly clear and also lacks any underside silver as found on figures like Sunstreaker. All to his discredit, since otherwise Trailbreaker is a massive sea of uninterrupted brown. While these small slivers of silver and the errant stripes do liven things up, they don't do enough. Contrast, people. Contrast. My opinion regarding the transformation hasn't changed much, and neither has the transformation itself. I don't view it quite as negatively as I made it out to be in my Hoist review. I'm more ambivalent towards the whole ordeal. It's a very serviceable transformation scheme, with no neat tricks, but also nothing terribly offensive. For some reason, Trailbreaker's spine, for lack of better words, can separate from the windshield on their shared joint, something that hasn't happened to my Hoist. It may just be the overall darker color palette, but Trailbreaker looks far stronger than Hoist did in robot mode. Usual depictions of Trailbreaker tend to be on the more relatable side, and while the Earthrise iteration put on a few pounds compared to the likes of Thrilling 30, he's more of a kind of fat you'd see at a World's Strongest Man competition than the average mirror. What's really central to pulling this off is the silhouette. With the upper arms and those huge truck flaps being the same dark shade of brown, they work well together to hide how thin and fragile those arms truly are. They provide a bit of phantom bulk, if you will. As anemic as those arms are, the legs are naturally proportioned and are powerfully built, while not being overbearingly so. Coupled with a boxy gut that doesn't stick out nearly as much as one would expect, and you got yourself a pretty convincing build. The backpack also works in its favor, as it's somewhat large but compact in a way that implies mass without being disproportionate. It also looks better than Hoist's signal lights. Trailbreaker's color scheme is far more subdued than that of Hoist as well, and luckily the difference between the brown and the black is somehow less noticeable in this mode. While Hoist was a rich green with loud pops of white and safety orange, Trailbreaker is mostly black and brown with touches of gray and silver and a smattering of clay red, coming together for an earthy appearance. He would not look at all out of place in a forest or in the mountains, even if Hoist's green might fit a little better. His head sculpt is grizzled and square with his signature prismatic pompadour, bright blue shades, and stern expression. He looks fed up with my bullshit, so I guess I'll just leave him alone. Trailbreaker's backpack opens up to reveal some goodies inside. The first is his force field generator, a part recycled from Hoist and offset to his left side. The other is a black rocket launcher of sorts. I would have preferred some silver paint, but I would have preferred a lot of things. The canopy can come clean off and become a shield by pegging to either his forearm or his hand, sort of like how the Thrilling 30 did things, just without any extra sculpted guns. Out of all the shields in Earthrise, this is one of the most benign. Finally, like Hoist, he comes with a silver gun that slides over his hand as if to replace it entirely, one of my favorite design elements in Transformers. Really, it seems that Trailbreaker got the lion's share of accessories this wave, as he's practically loaded. Runamuck has to suffice with a single pistol that's not even his, and Sunstreaker's gun isn't even a gun. I guess Fast Track is supposed to pick up the slack, but I'm kind of over weaponizers, so I never got him. Trailbreaker features 22 dedicated points of articulation, the same number as Sunstreaker, yet he is a lot more posable. For starters, the elbows are equipped to bend to an amazingly acute angle, all with a single joint. His proper knees only bend an adequate 90 degrees, but the locks on the transformation joints below them are so practically non-existent that one could easily use them as a second knee, allowing for a far deeper curl. His only real compromise lies in the shoulder joints, where the forward swivel moves these giant kibble flaps at an odd angle, while the arm proper is only able to move on its own on the outward swivel. Still, there are ways around this. Trailbreaker's situation isn't so bad. Sure, he isn't getting as much attention as other characters like Sideswipe or Ratchet, but he never did, really. The figures he's gotten in recent years are all pretty alright, too. Thrilling 30 may have been pint-sized, but it was still interesting, to say the least, and there are worse fates than being a Hoist retool for sure. He still shares the Autobot Architect's problems, that hollow torso and those shoulder wings mostly, but I enjoyed Hoist in spite of those, and I think Trailbreaker is a wonderful side grade. He's definitely as astounding as ever, even if he doesn't photograph as well as I'd like. If you liked this video or otherwise found it helpful or informative, then please subscribe for more reviews like this in the future, and feel free to suggest topics for future reviews in the comments. When we return, I did say I was done with Earthrise, but I'm not done talking about its molds. This has been Kit Katastrophe. Transform and roll out.